Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
I'm M. Sathya Kumar, attending the Global Chick Camp 2018. Swamiji, today the youth is really looking forward for spirituality. But many youth think spirituality is for the old people. How do we define spirituality? How do you make the spirituality relevant for the youth?
See, in society, people take up certain terms, terminologies, propagate it in a certain manner. People understand it in a particular manner. We have to understand that the science of spirituality, religion, whatever name we may give it, whatever distinctions we make out of it, all sciences are meant to develop us, to make us positive contributors of society, which in turn gives us the platform to grow, to transform. So, whatever religion, spirituality is there, it gives us the right vision, guides us in understanding what's the right purpose, right? And what is the right action by which we can achieve our personal goals, goals for the development of the society in which we live, our nation, the world at large.
Right. So one more thing, today India has about a population of 130 crore. When we make the spirituality relevant to the youth, and 130 crore population, 80 crore population of youth population who are going to be the contributors for the nation's development. How do we make them or train them on spirituality? Or rather, how do we reach the spirituality to the household and make it as a matter of household, the spirituality?
See, as Gurudev Swami Chinmaya always said, the youth are not useless, they are only used less.
Right.
We all started off when we were youth. We had the same issues, same outlooks, same importance to things that we gave. Right. But understand, the youth is always seeking for something better, seeking to better themselves also. In fact, youth are always idealistic. Yeah? So, if they are given a framework to grow into, such as the culture, a noble culture, a culture that makes you positive contributor of society, with virtues, values, and particularly a vision of oneness with a sense of responsibility, that we are as much responsible for the world as we think that others should be responsible for us.
And our Gurudev has written a book called As I Think, which he penned down. In that, he talks broadly about the intellectual revolution for nation building. When we talk about the intellectual revolution, does it not represent the spiritual revolution of the country, or whether it includes the emotional revolution of the country as well?
See, in India, religion, spirituality, various sciences, our upbringing, our education, our profession, they were all integrated for the final goal of attaining the infinite, the perfection, or you can call as universal love. So everything was geared for it. No science was divorced from the science of spirituality. That has been our Indian sciences. It's just that the modern materialistic scientists were opposed to various other religious beliefs in various countries, that this whole division in the psyche of people was between material life and spiritual life, between science and religion. This was not the case in India, where the vision of life, the purpose of life was very, very clear as given in our Vedas, and brought up in a complete upbringing of life, in every venue of our life, in every facet of our lives, in every intellectual logic and thought, to be integrated with our love, emotions and devotion, to be integrated in our dedicated actions in the world, and our productivity be in the spirit of sharing. So, this was never separated in any avenue of our life. Now, because our thinking now has been geared to think in such divisive ways, that today all these conflicts happen of old age spirituality, new age materialism. Materialism without spiritual values will be diabolic.
Right, Swamiji.
Full of greed, stress, strife, hatred, wars.
Right, Swamiji.
Spirituality in the form of renunciation, without activity, without materialism, will only create poverty.
Right, right, Swamiji.
Right?
Yeah.
So, just as is pointed out in the Ishavasya Upanishad, that these are not to be divorced from each other.
Right.
They have to be integrated together.
Right, Swamiji.
Yeah? They have to move parallelly through infinity.
Yes, Swamiji. And it puts me to the next question. Today, a lot of youth are restless in starting up enterprises. Now, when they start up, the goal is to actually look at the material prosperity. Now, is it possible to kind of have a spiritual quotient when they begin the journey of a startup, which can actually benefit the society at large?
See, very hypocritically, we'll say we'll earn money to donate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Charity is our responsibility.
Right, Swamiji.
Sharing is our responsibility. Yeah. It is not some favor that we do on anyone.
Right, Swamiji.
Yeah. And we should not pretend. Let us first be honest and not hypocrites.
Right, Swamiji.
That really speaking, what is it that we value?
Right.
In society today, even relationships are not valued.
Right, Swamiji.
Parents are not valued. Spouses are not valued. Siblings are not valued. What we value today is only money.
Right.
And why do we value money so much? Because we have got false expectations that wealth will give us prosperity.
Enjoy.
Yes. Wealth will give us comfort. Yes. But wealth does not guarantee a single friend.
Right.
Sycophants, chamchas, plenty. But friend, it does not guarantee.
Right.
Yeah. Comforts, but not necessarily happiness.
Right, Swamiji.
Right?
And now, if you look at the quality of teachers in the country, we talk about the quality of education. Now, the formal education what we have is towards the materialism. When the students undergo the materialist path of education, how do we integrate the spiritual quotient? For example, if a teacher teaches mathematics, is there a way to integrate to the value system or the spiritual system in the country? If he reads physics, whether is it possible for him to understand the larger picture of the physics? Is it possible to integrate at the school level where the teachers can be trained so that they can empower the students?
In fact, in our schools, started by Chinmaya Mission, the vision that Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda gave was to have value-based education. See, one thing is value education. You teach children the right values of life so that they can develop their virtues, their character. And that will naturally reflect in every action. Yet, it becomes separated from academic studies, which most people think is only to get a degree, to get a job, and finally just to make money.
Right.
And everybody is so geared for it to get those marks that they have no time for any other spiritual studies, development of their character, to build their value systems, to enhance their virtues. So naturally what happens is that we, in that name of academic studies, just for a profession, and as I heard from one educationist from abroad, he said in olden times people came to universities to further their knowledge, not get a job.
Right.
His father was a professor
Right.
in one of the big universities and said that for jobs, go get skills.
Right.
To be an entrepreneur, yeah, have daring. Yeah.
Yes, Swamiji.
So, to have value-based education, let me just give you an example.
Right, Swamiji.
And we have a special program called as the CVP program, the Chinmaya Vision program, where Gurudev taught how to integrate values in our various different subjects. In fact, our Upanishads are full of such methodology. Let me just give you an example. If a physics teacher or chemistry teacher is teaching to the children the different types of chemical bonding.
Right.
All of us in school are very familiar about ionic bonding
Right.
that we find in common salt, that is sodium and chloride.
Right.
Sodium has got one less electron and therefore has got positive charge, and chlorine has got an extra
Right.
electron and therefore has got a negative charge. So, when the two come together, they get attracted.
Right, sir.
Right? One gives, the other takes.
Takes. Yeah.
I just heard a joke. Yeah. But I won't take anybody's side. Somebody said marriage is a give and take process. I give, the other takes.
Right.
So, when a bond is created, when one gives and the other takes, there is a bond.
Right, Swamiji.
But how strong is that bond?
Right.
The moment you mix sodium chloride in water,
Right, Swamiji.
yeah, the ions separate.
Right.
Is it not?
Right.
This is called as ionic bond,
Right.
where one gives, other takes.
Right, Swamiji.
Now, there's something called as covalent bond.
Right, Swamiji.
When two molecules of carbon come together, not one is less or the other is more,
Right.
but both share their electrons with each other.
Right, Swamiji.
There is not just give and take, both share. And in that covalent bond, the diamond is created from carbon, yeah, which is the hardest substance on earth, as far as we understand or know, yeah, which cannot be broken by even a hammer.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Now tell me, imagine if children understand the value of sharing,
Right.
yeah? Not just taking,
Right.
but giving
Yeah.
and sharing.
Yeah.
How clear it becomes to them
Right.
that such a bond becomes such a strong bond.
Right, Swamiji. It exactly this integrating the spirituality to the science.
Yes.
And Gurudev also spoke about integrating the West with the East. So, what exactly Gurudev meant by integrating West and East should meet is what the point driven by Gurudev.
See, really speaking, we very commonly now say the word West,
Yeah.
but we would say the modern.
Modern. Yeah.
Yeah. Today, anywhere in the world, whatever is modern, we call it as West. No? And whatever is Eastern, we associate it with the ancient,
Right, Swamiji.
the historic. No? So, in the arrogance and in our royalties and patents, even though our great discoveries are there in the modern society, and we are all educated with the modern discoveries,
Right.
modern terminologies,
Right.
modern languages,
Right, Swamiji.
modern way of, certain way of thinking. But at the same time, in the East, not only in India, say China also and others, we have a great heritage of the
Right.
past, like we hear.
Right.
Many other places, it's been destroyed. Egypt was destroyed,
Right, Swamiji.
right? But India still has a very great heritage of the past.
Right, Swamiji.
And today, we are not familiar because of our language, our way of thinking, with the heritage of the past. Great sciences we had,
Right.
technology, architecture,
Right, Swamiji.
in fact, mathematics, spiritual science, which, let us say, the modern society has still not ventured into.
Right.
And if we bring the two together,
Right, Swamiji.
then naturally we have a quantum leap.
Right, right, Swamiji. And now the world is actually moving from globalization to protectionism. In the scenario of protectionism, how Bharat can become a Vishwa Guru so that it can teach the way of life, the art of living, the spirituality, integrating spirituality with the science to the world. How the youth can transform themselves to be a contributor in this scenario as Bharat being a Vishwa Guru.
See, in Bharat alone, from the Vedas, you have that one knowledge that there is not only one truth, but the truth alone is.
Right, Swamiji.
And therefore, everything and everyone is an expression of that one infinite divine truth. If that knowledge, that vision, we can rebring into our knowledge, our psyche, into the world culture, that alone can bring about world love and peace. Because in oneness there is love. In oneness there is peace.
Right, Swamiji.
Right? The diversity is seen, but that's only superficial.
Right, Swamiji.
But in midst of all the diversity, how to recognize the oneness is the very grain
Right.
of our Vedic Hindu culture,
Right, Swamiji.
Hindu religion. And if that we reinforce within ourselves and show it to the world, then only we can recognize that we are one big family.
Right, Swamiji. And the country's progress is today measured in GDP. Now, is there any alternate way of measuring the country's progress? A GDP is a holistic figure. I'm not sure whether the last mile citizen in my country has got the benefit of the GDP, but is there any other measure which the governments can think about over a period of time to measure the progress of the country?
See, there are different ways we measure things. But even now, the modern society has recognized whatever may be the prosperity of the country. But if people are not happy, no amount of progress means anything. Yeah. And therefore, the real measure of a society's, a nation's, or an institution's growth. In fact, the world is talking about it today.
Right.
Yeah. Let's take a happiness audit of ourselves, our families,
Right.
our institutions, and it's beginning to happen.
The final question is, what is that one message which you wanted to give to the individual, to the family and the country at large?
Be happy, and the only way to be happy is make the people around you happy. And be a happy country, happy society, happy family, happy individual.
So thanks a lot, Swamiji, for your time. Thanks a lot.